so good.
Yeah, that was great.
Like I said, I really enjoy looking at like the independent label stuff and like just finding smaller artists that you probably wouldn't have found any other way. But this band is actually really interesting once I started looking into them a bit more, because they've actually been around and active since 1998.
Holy crap.
Oh, wow.
And they've been releasing records since 2001, and they're still active in the like independent scene.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had no idea. That was great though. Very reminiscent of I don't know if you remember the band. I think it was early 2000s-ish, but they were called Over It, and it reminds me of like kind of like a grittier version of that.
Okay. That was a bit before my time of like paying attention to, that kind of stuff. But they actually have released albums in 2001, 2004, 2012, and then they have an album from 2022. And even more interesting, I think, is that they actually had a song in, I think it was Gran Turismo or something like that.
That makes total sense. Like that like straightforward rock. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to get nerdy here, but that bass tone was so good. And there was a really cool part near the end that did that like choke, that that was sweet. I will always get hooked by stuff like that. 100%.
Those technical little things, like the little stops and that, and like going into the chorus, there's that little pause and then back into it.
Yep.
Like those are the small little things that you don't think about until you are like writing your own music, and then you're like, ooh, that's cool. We need to do something like that, because it just adds that little bit of impact.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a smart move, like, because this I don't know if this is indicative of all their stuff, but this one was very like straightforward rock, couple chords, and I'll go back to what we were talking about earlier with some of the punk stuff, where that can get repetitive unless you find a way to change it up, and those little stops keep it fresh. Like every time, even though it is just a straightforward rock song, like I found myself intrigued every couple seconds because they would do something, whether it was like drop out a guitar or do a quick choke like that. It was great. I enjoy a good in-your-face rock song.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of those things where if you're writing a simple song and you want to keep your listener hooked, you really have to find ways to play with dynamics. And, oftentimes that means not playing as much as you are playing and kind of taking things in and out so that you are keeping that attention.
Oh, yeah. And the song sounded big. It didn't seem like there was a ton going on instrumentally, but it still sounded huge. I mean, those guitars were layered
just
up.
Just a huge mix, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really listened to any of their other stuff, so I'm not super familiar with it. But yeah, this particular song I've been jamming for the past like month or so, like just really enjoying that.
Yeah, that was great.
So where are we going to go from here?
So we actually got another Nashville band. They're called Fossil Creek. We just ripped a gig with them the other night, and they're great. I know the bass player, Erica. I've known her for a few years now. She actually plays bass with Olivia Jean, and she travels like all over the country opening up for Jack White. So
really?
She's got a really cool story. I mean, there's a lot of, as you could tell, a lot of musicians in Nashville that do that kind of thing, but she's got a really cool thing going that she gets to, get out there and play music every night like that and see the world and open up for somebody like Jack White.
I do always find that very interesting when you've got people who are, hired guns for a tour or are in like a bigger band, but then you see their like smaller independent project and you get to see a little bit more of what they are specifically all about.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And like I said, playing with them the other night, they were great. But yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, they were super cool. This is the acoustic.
Oh, well, so they were acoustic. Their gig the other night, they had some unfortunate accidents within the band and everything, so they had to rip their show acoustic, and they pulled it off. They were great.
I'm excited to hear them because just getting the acoustic side of it, they reminded me a lot of like late Nirvana. They've got that kind of melancholy, like late 90s, early 2000s tone. So I haven't heard what they sound like as a full band electric, so I'm pretty stoked for this.
Yeah, I always find it very interesting how bands transition from being a full electric band to being acoustic. I find a lot of the time, especially in recordings, a lot of the time if a band just releases like a stripped version of a song or whatever, a lot of the time it can be like a little bit boring, but I always really enjoy when the stripped version of the song is really catered towards that acoustic experience. And so they completely reorchestrate everything so that it feels like it was made to be that way, as opposed to almost being like a gimped version of it that was just kind of put together because, label says that we need an acoustic song or something.
I mean, now you're speaking to Goo Goo Dolls, which is like one of my favorite bands. So like we can talk about that. But yeah, they're a great full band. And we'll go ahead and rip it here if you're ready. This song's
all right, let's go.
This song's called Going Under.